Now a pretty girl, like a little bird. She's tender, she's shy, and you never know.
Our orchid farm has begun.
Throughout the 50s through the 80s or 90s, most people didn't use actual vanilla. They used vanilla flavoring, artificial vanilla. And then eventually, around the early 2000s, people started noticing those artificial vanilla, so they started moving towards natural vanilla. During this time period, those farms in Madagascar and Fiji actually almost went completely out of business because nobody was buying natural vanilla. So now that people are now switching more to natural vanilla sources, those farms are like trying to scramble back up into the market.
Vanilla grew out of like a desire to teach people like financially remunerative outlets. If you want people to engage in collective action and do things that will mitigate climate change, you're going to have to show people how they can make money doing it, because people don't have time, and wages have only decreased and stagnated, and you can't just kind of tell a single mom that you can grow organic tomatoes in your backyard and expect that that's going to somehow change your life. But if you can show people how to make some extra money, then it can move the needle for them in terms of standard of living and available, like, and access to resources. And once you're doing this stuff for money, it becomes a lot more realistic to also grow those same organic tomatoes later.
So this right here is actually new growth. So this is not a flower, this is new growth. So this is like a vine, it'll keep going up and up and up and take over the entire spot. Flowers usually come from right here, the auxiliary bud. So that is usually there for new leaves, just in case if the leaves come off. So the flower will pop out of there and sprout. So they usually come out of the pseudobulb, the main stem of the orchid, not from the top right here.
Josh.
I've been noticing this for like the longest time.
That is so cool. Where did I find the trellis? So after Irma, we were driving around scavenging plants off the sides of the roads that have been some were knocked down and discarded, but were actually salvageable. We got a lot of bananas and tostones that way, and a lot of like ornamentals and some cool stuff, some tree stock. But we got a lot of materials and for building, like wood that we were able to cut up and use. And this trellis actually was sitting on the side of the road, and we've had it for about 2 years now, kind of trying to figure out what to do with it, and just seemed perfect to do the vanilla on. So since it's been sitting there long enough, it started to rot a little bit more, and now it's at that right consistency where a lot of the chemicals that make this pressure treated have leached out, and it'll be easier for the plant to use it as nutrient.
Did you just step on a vanilla orchid?
Barely. We were more able to grow citrus or lychees because there was more cold air, and now that time's passed. So different kinds of agricultural crops are becoming available in this ecosystem that weren't necessarily possible to grow before, like breadfruit. A staple in the tropics and like a major food crop, but like only recently could you grow vanilla, like breadfruit or cacao here, or something that's like a true tropical, where the tree wouldn't just die back to the ground every winter. It's not really like that anymore. But also because lychees need cold air and citrus needs cold air, and we don't have it anymore, those things will no longer fruit here. So our agricultural systems are changing, and Miami-Dade County, as much as it's a tourist destination, is really an agricultural center, and it's a big part of food production. And there are so many things that can be grown here that are so unique that we need to bring into the market and kind of teach people that these foods are even available, because in many cases people don't know. And it doesn't hurt that we have the world's foremost orchid scientist on our team. I mean, Dr. Downing, it's not an exaggeration to say that he knows more about orchids than any human being who's ever lived. He's just an absolute expert and, an inspiration, a mentor, and a great scientist. And with his guidance and expertise and our background, that we think we can pull this off. So we're giving it a shot.
Step in the right direction.